Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate bone and lung cancer patient, survivor, and been dealing with cancer since 2021, doing very, very well. And I'm so blessed and happy to be able to share my journey with everyone and to have the opportunity to meet and interview such amazing people. And we have a really, really incredible person here today that I am so excited to share with all of you. And I know that you will love her, absolutely love her. She is amazing. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce Grace Charrier, and she's from New York, and she's got a phenomenal story, and we're kindred spirits. We're on the same page. And so at this time, Grace, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Thank you, Mark, for having me. Honestly, I'm so humbled and honored to be with you today. My name is Grace Charrier. I'm a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, and why I love to share my story is because this diagnosis came, in a very surprising manner because I didn't have the normal symptoms. Um, it started by me falling in my bathroom. I passed out and then went to my PCP. And he now suggested, we did series of tests to find out what was going on. And we
So
did the
did
normal
if you
test.
passed out, how did you somebody else come and help you, or you?
Luckily, luckily, Mark, that's a very good question. I remember my mother used to say, if you're in the bathroom, don't lock the door. Always keep the door open because anything can happen. You can slip and fall and all that. So I never, you know, ever since I was a teenager, so to speak, I, make sure that the door to the bathroom isn't locked. But on this occasion, I felt this was something else. So my nephew met me, had been trying to call me because I sent him on an errand. And when he didn't hear from me, he called me. And usually I take my phone to the bathroom. And he heard the phone ringing and he heard the shower running. And that was when he used his initiative and called my niece. And they came into the bathroom and they saw me on the floor.
Wow,
Yes.
that is, oh, wow, that is frightening. I mean, so much, you were so lucky in that aspect.
I was very lucky because, with the bathroom rugs, the bath rugs, and all that kind of cushioned the effect. But I went down anyway I was really hit. I almost lost this eye because when I fell hitting the toilet seat, and
Ooh,
I cracked my clavicle. I hit my eye and I went down. But luckily, when I went down, I didn't hit the back of my head. So we're thankful for that. So I was rushed to the hospital. And like I said, my PCP said, listen, we have to do a series of tests. Maybe your electrolytes were low. That's maybe why you passed out. I had to go through an echocardiogram, do all sorts of things, but everything was okay. It wasn't until I was walking out of his office one day, after he read out the results of the test to me, that he said, when was the last time you had a mammogram? And I said, I haven't had a mammogram. I haven't been to have one because I've never had any pain or anything like that. He said, you know what? Let's just send you up to the diagnostic center for a mammogram. And that's what I did. But surprisingly, um, I had to have two mammograms because the first was inconclusive and the second was inconclusive. And that scared us that why is it inconclusive? Why isn't it definite? So um, The third time he said, you know what, you're going to have to go through, have a minimal invasive biopsy, which I did. And that was when they saw a large mass in my chest wall. And it was cancer, was malignant, it was cancer. When they did they sent the tissue to pathology and they came out with that result. So that's how it started.
So what went through your mind when you heard that?
Mark, I was so scared. Scared because number one, they had already said it was a stage 3 going on a stage 4. So I was borderline. To the fact that I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have any pain. I didn't have anything to prepare me for that. Most of all, I was thinking of my daughter, how she was going to take it, the family, you know. Um, so all these things, I wasn't even thinking of myself as such. I was thinking about my loved ones, how they were going to take it, and just keeping my fingers crossed that, whatever we're going to do, we were going to fight it together. And that was what gave me the hope.
Wow, it,
Yeah.
it's so important in a cancer journey, as you know, to have the people around you on the same page. And that is really, really great. And I mean, scary. I can't even imagine to learn that you have cancer in that way that you
In that
found.
way. And I
Wow.
call it the divine fall because it was heaven sent. I was a walking time bomb, you know. I maybe would have just, God forbid, just gone, and maybe not gone with the fall. Maybe the fall was to make me go have those tests and for them to see this because there were no symptoms, nothing whatsoever to warrant me saying, oh, I have to go for a mammogram or I have to nothing.
Where did you derive this inner strength to approach it in this manner? How did that come about?
I think it kind of grew on me because um to be honest, you're scared, but you're trying to keep it together when you see everybody is rooting for you. So the last thing you want to do is to, give out that impression that, don't bother, we're not going to get through this or whatever. And I'm like, those that love me believe that we're going to overcome. So why shouldn't I think that way? So I mustered, um, you know, all the effort I had and and resilience tools. I read everything I could in building, stamina to get through, mental stamina, not physical. Because really, I was already tired listening to this, going for the tests and all that. But I said, my body will only go where my mind is going, and my mind has to be strong. And that was where I got that inner strength and resilience to carry on.
Wow, that is just beautiful. I reflect um, on your words because we approached it in such a similar fashion. And when I meet it, and it's rare to meet somebody who approaches it this way, but it is so incredibly helpful when you're positive. It's so important in a cancer journey to have a positive attitude and to believe and to have the hope that you can overcome this. Because for any cancer patient, if you don't feel that there's hope, then what do you really have?
You're so right. That's all we have. We're blessed to have at least to be able to access the treatments, see our doctors and all that. But our doctors can only do so much, I realize, because by the time you finish those treatments and you go home, it's only you. And your family is out working or doing their thing. You don't want to, contain them to say they shouldn't carry on with their normal lives. No, they also have to go back to routine. So it's just you and God. That's what I say. And so when you come back home and you realize that, oh, it's just me. Um, Now let's take it from here. So that was what happened, you know. I always put myself in the position that at the end of the day, I'm the one fighting this, not anyone else. Yes, they love me and everything, but I am the one fighting this. And so I have to root for myself first before anybody else can be convinced to root for me. And that's what I did.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful awareness of what you needed to do. And
Yeah.
wow, I'm just so impressed by you. And one of the reasons that Grace speaks so well is she has her own uh, YouTube channel. And can you share with us what that is and some of the other things that you're doing?
Thank you, Mark. Um, when I was undergoing radiation after I, had went through chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation, and radiation, it's crazy because I had to have it where I had my um, breast surgery, and I was peeling all over the place, because of radiation dries the skin, and then I had to be applying emollients to the part, and you had to go every week to get the same um intervention, radiation, and it was crazy. And I every time I was changing my bed sheets every day,
Wow.
because my skin was peeling badly, but healing, but peeling, was a kind of rebirth. So I kind of felt very depressed at the time. I was very depressed at the time, even though I tried not to show it. And I thought to myself, I said, how can I turn this situation around? It's not on, God knows how many people in the world are going through what I am going through, because we just look in our own little corner. This is what Grace is going through. But I may not know that my neighbor is going through the same thing and is not talking about it. And, the neighbor across is the same thing, So I said, you know what? I'm going to start, you know, putting structures together for a book, and then I am going to start a show. So my experiences, I started noting down, um, for the book. But for the YouTube channel, I also started doing the same. Okay, what was it going to be about? Awareness and bringing people who have been through what I have been through, cancer patients, cancer survivors, and their caregivers, because the caregivers really go through a lot as well.
Yes.
And also not leaving out our professionals. I had mapped out who my guests were going to be, um, what my community was going to look like, and all that. And I put the show together. So I put the show together when I was down in the dumps. And it was cathartic because I was now not, maybe that's it. Come to think of it, maybe that's what even made me, was one of the reasons why I healed so quickly. Because now, aside work, I now had something of mine I was pursuing for the greater good, um, being a resource for those that needed information based on my story and others who were coming to the show. So Cancer Convos with Grace B was born. And I started, my first guest was a lady I bought my mastectomy bras from. And from there, the show was a hit. So touch wood, we've been here for 5 years, 6 years or 6 years already. Because I was diagnosed in 2016, like yesterday. So that's how the YouTube show started.
And you do such an amazing, amazing job. And I
Thank you,
recommend
Mark.
everybody to follow subscribe to Grace's channel. Can you tell us what the channel name is again on
It's
YouTube?
Answer Convos. Convos is the shortened form of conversations. So Cancer Convos with Grace B. So Grace and B is my middle name. B is my initial. So Cancer Convos with Grace B, YouTube. In fact, that's my nom de plume. Everything is Cancer Convos with Grace B on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram. You can get me there.
Fantastic. In fact, I didn't even know what convos meant, so I had to look it up. So
Yes, Convos is a shortened form of conversations, you know. So I said, what am I going to name? I'm having conversations with people. So conversations is too long. Let me just make it Convos.
yeah, I was like, God, I feel dumb. I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense because I didn't know, to be honest. But
No problem.
yeah, no, that is, and it's such a great channel, and you do such a phenomenal job, and
Thank
my
you so
hats
much,
off,
Mark.
my
So
hats
are
off to
you.
you.
You're doing a wonderful one too. I
Thank
mean,
you. I mean, I'm surprised it took us this long to connect,
I
really.
know, you know. But no matter what, as my mother used to say, what is meant for you is meant for you. We were meant to meet, connect, and, collaborate. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So please share with us about your book. What is the book called and what is it about?
yes, the book is on Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble, and the name of my book is Impossicant. Just Impossicant. Impossicant. Impossicant is like a slang meaning impossible, absurd, you know, inconceivable. Um, and that was my daughter's reaction, and that's how she retorted back to me when I told her that I had uh, cancer diagnosis. My cancer diagnosis was read out to me, and she just fell to the floor and just said impossible. So that means impossible because you were not sick, you had no pain, you've been jumping all over the place, you work so hard, everything. And so, where did the cancer come from? You understand? So, that's the name of the book based on my daughter's, reaction and response to my diagnosis.
How old was your daughter at that time?
She was in her 20s,
Oh,
in her
okay.
20s. Yes.
Okay.
So she was an adult, but, still no child wants to see the parent, go through that. And I I know what she went through because I'd hear her speak at night to her friends and say, "Oh, I'm scared for my mom and everything." I'll pretend that I didn't hear that conversation, but that's one of the reasons I had to make sure that I picked myself up and not make her feel worse than she already was. One of the conversations I had recently on my show was, how do you communicate your cancer diagnosis to your child? And I had to bring that up because a lot of parents I had come across, have been through the same thing. Sometimes they leave that conversation to their grandparents to tell them. The parents are too scared, but the grandparents are the ones telling them. And so there's a way you have to communicate with the children.
Well, I think that's so, you bring up such a great point is how critical communication is with the people around you in any kind of health journey. Uh, it's important because people need to be informed and they need to know. And how did you handle the onslaught of family and friends? How did you deal with that?
I just took, like somebody said, asked me the same question, and I'm like, I just took everything as it came. When you're in the boxing ring and you watch these movies, and the boxer just takes it like this and takes it like that. Yes. Um, but I tell you, it wasn't easy. At some point, I was getting more emotional than anything else because, by the time they come, they want to pray over you. It was so emotional. So I had to say, please, um, I would prefer phone calls at this time. If you guys want to come, you can come maybe during the weekend, but not weekdays after work and everything. And then by the time I would have my infusions and come back home, I'm sleeping till the following day because those drugs would knock you out, Benadryl and everything. So I really didn't have time to see. Sometimes they would visit, but I didn't have the strength to speak to anyone, you know. But
Oh,
I knew
oh,
that
I
I knew
know.
they meant well. But I also had to kind of guard myself and guard my heart because my heart was in pieces, to be honest. I just needed to take care of myself first.
So, what are your how did you, so you treated it mostly conventionally? Did you do anything with your diet?
Yes, I went vegan basically. I used to eat a lot of red meat. I don't eat red meat anymore. Um, I'm only into white meat, chicken, and into fish. Salmon most of the time, and it's expensive, but yeah, what to do? I cut off taking white bread, so I take brown bread. What else do I do now? Yeah, I used to buy bottled juices, but now I make my own juice. I bought an alkaline jug on Amazon, so it's alkaline water that I drink because, cancer cannot thrive in a toxic environment. Your water has to be alkaline for you to be okay. So I did that. I changed my diet completely. I don't eat too much rice once in a while, but I eat more of quinoa and I eat a lot of beans. I have a lot of veggies, and I take a lot of fresh fruits. I never used to be crazy about fresh fruits. I mean, for me to sit down and cut an orange and eat was not my style. But now I do it. Sometimes in the morning, instead of going for chocolate in the fridge, I grab an orange and I cut and eat. And it was one of the things that I found, to have profound, it's compound interest, it's not it's over a period of time you now see how your skin has changed, especially when that the chemo has dried you up and you're looking so nasty and gaunt and everything. Those little things over a period of time uh, changed, and I was doing a lot of exercises in the sense that I was going for long walks. I just take myself out. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Did your diet change, did it affect your immediate family? Did they how have you navigated that?
No, it didn't. Because one thing that happened was now everybody was following suit. You know,
Hmm.
um, my daughter does not eat meat, uh, but she eats, I mean, cow meat or cow beef, but she has lamb. You
Hmm.
understand? So she moved away from that. The rest of my family, you know, they also we're fish people actually. But now with my experience, everybody just started following. So you find we had up till now the fridge is full with vegetables and you know all sorts of healthy stuff, a lot of cereals too and all that. So they were quite happy about it. And I think, my experiences also altered their way of life too for the better, health wise. Because you see now cancer is in our family because of me. They also have to be, wary, you know. My daughter, she has a child, she gets married and all that kind of thing, now it's in the family. So everybody's proactive,
Good.
now, that, okay, God forbid it doesn't happen to us, but we have to make sure it doesn't by doing the right things now. So
That is
that,
fantastic. Absolutely. I love
yeah,
that. When it, it's difficult, a cancer journey is difficult enough without outside forces tugging you in different directions and in directions that are not beneficial to you.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, it is really so complicated, as you know. I mean, and so it's really great when you can get the people around you on the same page, and
yeah.
that is absolutely wonderful. Uh, Grace, what would be your final thought that you would like to leave our audience with, that you've learned through your cancer journey? And then I have one other question to follow that up.
Okay. And I would like to say that never assume that you're well. These diseases creep up on you. And I'm not just talking about cancer. Always make sure even a simple blood test will reveal certain things to you. Even if you don't want to go through an MRI or so, all those scans that can cause anxiety, just have your blood work done. And then you'll get to know what's good or what's bad and how to move forward. So blood work.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so important that we keep up with our own health. And so many, our lives are as a society are so busy, and people just put their health aside. But as the old saying goes, your health really is everything. And we both know that because at that point in our lives, we didn't have our health. And then
Yeah,
you realize how important and how precious that really is. And it really is. So
very true.
I've got one last question for you, and it's a question that I ask everybody. How would grace make the world, today's world, a better place to live?
For me, I wish I could make sure that nobody walks alone during their health journey. No one has to pay for health because many people who pass on, it's not because of the disease itself. Many a time is deep thoughts about how they're going to pay out of pocket. Um, and so for me, in changing the world, I want to make sure nobody has to walk alone and pay through their noses to stay healthy. So that's what I would do.
That is beautiful. That and what impressed me about that is I have so many people that that are stopped in their tracks, and you just came right out with a phenomenal answer, and that is
Oh,
absolutely fantastic. I
I
mean,
always think about that, because when you're seated in that infusion chair and listening to stories, you're like, oh my God, how I wish I was the president of this country, how I wish I was some big person, how I wish I was a Grace Gates that could take, care of everybody and solve their health issues. So it's what I always think about. I pray God continues to, encourage me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am so grateful for our time.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
just such an honor and a blessing to have had this conversation with you, and down the road, let's do it again. And
Oh, we definitely will.
yes,
We definitely
yeah,
will.
yeah. I am just so thrilled uh, with what you're doing. It is so fantastic, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Grace.
Thank you so much, Mark, for finding me, worthy of coming to your show. Thank you.
Oh, and likewise, absolutely. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone who is joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. Please subscribe, like, make a comment in the comment section, and make sure that you utilize each and every day, because each and every day is such a precious gift. Every day, every hour, every minute, and every single breath. Thank you once again for joining us at To Be Your Own Hero. We will see you next week. Thank you once again, Grace, and thank you to all of you out there. Bye bye.